Welcome back. So today we're diving into a really massive shift happening in AI for business. We're moving way beyond simple automation, the stuff that just follows a script. We're talking about intelligent agents, systems that can actually think, plan, and get things done on their own. Okay, to really get a handle on this, let's think about it this way. A standard workflow, that's kind of like a basic GPS where you've only programmed one single route. It has to follow that predetermined map no matter what. But in agentic AI, that's more like having an expert driver. They see the traffic jam ahead, they know the final destination, and they dynamically figure out the best new route to get you there. See the difference? One follows rigid instructions, the other achieves a goal. So to see why this is such a big deal, let's first look at what happens with a good old standard workflow when it hits a snag, that moment when the map just runs out of road. Let's imagine an automated system. Its whole job is to help a service member put together their military transition package, all the documents they need for their benefits application. And you'd think, hey, this is the perfect job for automation, right? So this system has a very strict step-by-step plan. First, it requests the DD-214. Then it collects medical records. Then it submits the application. And finally, it schedules a physical. It has to be in that exact order. It's a nice, clean process. As long as everything goes exactly according to plan. And here we go. This is where it all falls apart. The service member uploads a supplementary medical form. Now, it's a totally valid document, but it's one the system wasn't specifically programmed to know about. So what does the workflow do? Nothing. It doesn't know what to do. It can't adopt, it can't even ask a question, it just stops. Process halted. The map has run out, and our user is completely stuck. But what if we used a different kind of tool for this? This is exactly where a dynamic agent changes the game. It's not about just following a map. It's about charting a totally new course when you need to. Here's the key difference. An agent actually understands the end goal. It knows the point is to successfully assemble that transition package. So when it sees that unrecognized document, it doesn't just crash. It sees an obstacle, it looks at the tools it has, and it comes up with a new plan to get around it. So how does it actually do that? How does an agent think its way out of a problem? Well, it really boils down to this cool two-step process happening inside its brain. First up, you've got what's called the planner. The best way to think about this is like an eager junior associate at a law firm. You give them a task, and they get to work drafting the first version of a multi-step plan to get it done. The planner is the creative part. It looks at the new document and says, okay, this is different. Here's my new plan. First, I'll analyze the content, then I'll figure out how to categorize it, and then I'll place it in the correct folder. But a first draft is never the final draft, is it? Of course not. And that's where the validator comes in. This is the senior partner. The validator takes the plan from the junior associate and gives it a thorough review. It stress tests the logic, looks for any potential mistakes, and makes sure the plan is actually the smartest, most efficient way to get the job done. Only after the validator gives it the green light does the agent actually execute that plan. It's this internal review that makes it so reliable. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds incredibly powerful, and maybe a little scary. As a manager, your first question is probably, this is great, but how do I control it? And that brings us to the single most important part of any responsible agent system, human oversight. You have to build in guardrails right from the very beginning. These aren't just nice-to-haves, they are absolutely essential to the design. We're talking about things like specific approval gates, where a person has to physically sign off before things proceed. Detailed logging, so you have a record of every single decision the agent makes. Data minimization, so it only sees the information it absolutely needs. And, of course, restricted tool access. You only give it the tools to do its specific job and nothing more. And look, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. The agent is a phenomenal proposal engine. It can cook up these complex, brilliant plans to solve problems you didn't even see coming. But at the end of the day, you are the final checkpoint. The agent proposes a plan, but you, the human in the loop, give the final bow. You are always, always in control. So this leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. As these autonomous agents start becoming part of our teams, the role of a manager is going to change big time. You're not just managing people and their tasks anymore. You're going to be managing goals, approving high-level strategies, and overseeing this new hybrid workforce of humans and AI. So what does a manager really manage then? Definitely something to think about.